Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we've got a really cool video. We're doing a tier list of all of the Stranger Things filming locations that we were lucky enough to visit back when we went to Atlanta, Georgia in October last year, so about 4 or 5 months ago. We went to 29 different filming locations that we're going to be ranking in this tier list, as well as a secret bonus location for anyone who wants to go and visit these locations for themselves. It was a great time, great trip. We've got all 6 vlogs on the channel, accounting every day that we were out there, filming locations from the show. We met other fans, we met some of the cast of Stranger Things while we were away. So if you've not already checked out the vlogs, do go and watch them and then come back to this video. But yeah, hope you enjoy, and let's get into the tier list. Okay, so this is the tier list that we're working with. So we've got 5 tiers. The very top is Are We in Hawkins, which is literally the locations that we thought, like, are we actually in the show right now? Yeah. Like, it was so surreal, so immersive. Then we've got Wow, which is still good locations, but it was kind of, but maybe not as good, just like, wow.
Like, still like...
Yeah, then we've got Cool, which is middle of the pack, just, yeah, it was cool to go there. Then we've got Meh, which is just like, bit underwhelming, could have been a better experience. And then finally, Is That It, which is the locations that we went to that were just kind of like, oh. I mean, every place we went to was fun and cool to see, but some were just better than others, which is the point of this video. So what we've got down here is every single location that we went to across the 6 days that we were there, in the order that we went. So starting off in the top left with sort of Jackson, downtown Hawkins, with the library, all the way through to the very last location we got to, which was Dustin's house on the final day just before we flew home. And there is a little bonus one at the end, which we'll get to at the end. Okay, so the first few are all locations in downtown Hawkins, or Jackson as it was in real life. Starting things off with the Hawkins Public Library, or in real life, isn't it a courthouse or something? Where do you think we should put that? Because that was the first thing we saw that was just like,
Yeah, I feel like because it was the first one we saw, it makes it more amazing than maybe what it actually was, so...
True, but when we were going to Jackson, I was like, we're going to see that thing.
Yeah, when you see that, that's when you know, like, oh my goodness, we're in downtown Hawkins.
I think it's got to be top 2.
I was going to say wow or Cool. I'd say Wow.
I was going to go maybe higher, so we'll go Wow then.
Yeah,
Wow with that, because... yeah, it was the first thing we saw, and it's so iconic, I feel, like, especially coming off the back of season 4 where all the gates just destroyed it through that place. And so much has happened there. It's been in the show since season 1. That's where Will was... Oh. Pause. No, did he? This place was also used... Do you remember in the evening after one of the conventions, like a production company did like an upside down haunted house style
things.
In the basement there. So that added to the experience of that location. We went inside
underneath
this place. So that was cool. I think we'll go Wow with that one.
Yeah.
Okay, next up we have Melvold's General Store, which is also just across the street from the library. This was obviously in the show where Joyce worked in the earlier seasons. What do we think of this one?
It was cool, but it's not like a major, like, if you took a picture of that, stood outside and posted it, people would go, you stood outside an abandoned shop. I
think, yeah, it was like attached to a subway, a functional subway.
There was nothing in it.
The actual Melvold store was just completely empty. Just, yeah, with no signage outside. It was just an empty storefront unit. Should we just go, meh? Like, it was just like, meh. We just peered through the windows and were like, oh, cool.
Surely just
like, it would have, because obviously this tier list is based on our experience of being there.
Yeah, like,
so obviously this isn't about what we think of the location in the show, or what it would be like to see the location as it is in the show. This is all of this is just from our experience when we were there over those few days. And from our experience being there, it was just an empty building with nothing.
I would just...
Meh?
Meh, actually,
it's pretty
yeah,
meh,
because
like,
I put it in Is That It, but with meh, because you're in downtown Hawkins, it kind of brings it all together.
All of downtown Hawkins are probably going to be middle to higher, I would expect, because it was just all there, like, oh, that's that. Linking with that is Radio Shack, which is right next door, which again didn't have any signage out front like the Radio Shack sign. Well, the Radio Shack sign was across the street, but outside the actual Radio Shack building, again, it wasn't done up like it was in the show, obviously. It was another just empty building. I think they're kind of the same.
Yeah.
Like, just meh. Okay, then we have the final two locations from the downtown Hawkins section, or Jackson. The Hawk Theatre. This was, I'd say this was a little bit cooler than those ones because it had, like, it clearly was that place.
I know, but also saying that, obviously, you know, the theatre to have the
little booth out the front.
Yeah, and the little on the wall.
Yeah.
The little bit that juts out that says the film.
There was kind of like the accents on the building kind of looked similar, and
I wouldn't put it in cool though.
There was a big thing on a big mural on the side of the wall. Do you remember? It was like linking to the alleyway.
Yeah, that was for that though.
So what do you want to do? Meh?
I'd put meh.
Fair enough.
Yeah, this one.
Okay, then we've got the alley, which is just behind the theatre. Obviously, the alleyway fight scene, Steve and Jonathan in season 1.
I'd say this one was quite cool.
Yeah, at least cool. They had a little thing on there that was like, what was it? Alley fight scene, and then the date that it was filmed or something.
And it had, so I don't, if you've seen the vlog, you'll know that around Jackson Square, they had little QR codes on the floor that said Stranger Things.
Oh yeah, all of them had that, which
so
was an added cool thing.
Thing on the side of the theatre.
It was like, season 1, episode 6, alley fight scene here, and you will go around the corner, it's there. I think having that like that is how I would rank the individual places in downtown Hawkins. I like that. Yeah. But yeah, we spent a lot of time. If you've seen the vlogs, you know we were there day 1, day 2 in the evening, day 3 and day 4 after the convention.
Yeah.
So 4 days in a row we were in downtown Hawkins, and I feel like all of these get maybe little bonus points because of the atmosphere around there at the time, because there was the upside down convention, there were fans everywhere, lots going on. Like
the little shops there were doing up the shops for the convention and stuff, so it made the experience a lot better.
And this was a place that we just kept going back to because it was just the hub of
there's a lot of stuff to
all the fans over the week. Next up we have Hawkins High School, which is also Hawkins Middle School, I guess. It was the same location used. Construction workers were demolishing the school at the time. Now it's completely gone as of recording this. It's gone.
What was it the guy said to you? Park anywhere you are, buddy.
Oh yeah.
But just not here.
I don't know, it was cool seeing this in the image here, that yellow and green and orange print on the wall.
But at the convention, people gave their cameras to the workers to film inside of it, didn't they?
Oh yeah, and they were getting bits out of it, like bits of the flooring and everything.
Like paying them for it as well.
It was cool as well, like seeing the tarmac area where from to like season 1, season 2, when like Steve's car was out there, Billy's car coming in, things like that. Like that was right there. And obviously from where they've been filming for season 5, seeing like the walkways under the you know what I'm talking about, like around the building where they've been filming, and just being there was just like, oh wow, like this is a major location.
Do you not think, like now we're back and we watch like random episodes, whenever I see a scene at the school or anywhere, I think obviously I've been there, but then I think like I know what's around further than what you see on screen. It's
and the big water tower that was there.
Like you know what's around that. Now you obviously only see what you see on the TV, but it's weird.
I think just cool. Like it was cool.
Yeah, it was cool.
It wasn't like, oh my god. It was cool.
It was cool to see.
Next up we have these two locations were both in and around Stone Mountain area. We've got the railway tracks from the earlier seasons, and then the cemetery that was used in season 4 for the Dear Billy episode.
And will be in season 5.
Yes. From the this was just before we were there. There was that behind the scenes teaser came out that showed Dustin going around the cemetery, and we got photos right there. So that was cool. The railway tracks, I think, I want to put it in cool because it just was cool seeing like how the trees go around. You know how like they go around the track and it's just like a tunnel like a natural tunnel all the way down with the tracks.
Where it is what was it called?
Stone Mountain.
Stone Mountain. Where it is, literally these train tracks wrap around the whole mountain.
Thing.
So we didn't really want to find the
really
exact bit. It's huge. It's literally massive.
We just saw. We were on the. We stood on the tracks.
So it was still quite cool.
And I like those scenes earlier in the show, like the one here in the picture of Dustin and Steve on the tracks, like, and in the woods, like all the woods around there, around Stone Mountain, is where they filmed the scenes in the forest.
Yeah.
So that's kind of included as well. I think I want to put that in cool.
I'd put it in cool.
Obviously, at the end we can look back through it and make any changes we want to make. And then the cemetery. It might be meh, you know.
Yeah, but just because, like, obviously.
Because it was just there was a weird vibe.
It's a real graveyard.
It's a graveyard.
Wasn't there someone there?
Yeah, there was a couple people in and out. There was a cop car as well, and we didn't even find like Billy's. Obviously, it's not real, but like where Billy's grave would have been. We saw that is it Ayers or Myers, however it is, that statue that's in the scene in Dear Billy when Max is running through the cemetery. We saw that, and I was like, oh, that's that in the background of the shot. I'll put it in.
But again, like, it's.
But we were in and out there, and it was it's just like if you didn't know, it would just be a normal graveyard. I think. Nah. We've not put anything really high or really low yet.
But there are.
There probably are.
Personally, I think.
And then the final location for the first day was the Starcourt Mall.
We did so much in one day.
Yeah,
no way.
Day 2 is bonkers. Day 2 is from here all the way to here. But yeah, Starcourt Mall, that was cool. And I was peering in through the glass like, oh my god. Was it Silver Cat Feeds, When Blue Meets Yellow in the West, all of that.
Yeah.
I've seen like what would have been like the Clark's shoe shop, like,
yeah, it was.
We recreated I Dump Your Ass outside the front. And right outside the front is obviously the massive parking lot where like Billy revved his car all the way down. So I knew it wasn't it until I saw that. But that was so cool, and we were only there for a bit, and it was a bit creepy being there.
It was because it was abandoned, so there was like no cars in the car park, and it was just like, should we be here?
Yeah.
We're like, of course
but
we could be there.
I think that's at least a wow.
I'd say it's a wow.
Yeah.
That was like a good finish of the day. We were tired and we'd driven loads of miles, and we were like, wow.
The only reason I won't say top is because like it did. If you didn't again, because there's no trace of the production there anymore. It did just look like a mall.
Yeah.
But like, because I think Ollyrpartridge and Hawkins tier is reserved for the ones that still look like it close to how they looked in the show, which nothing so far really did. Okay, on to the day 2 locations now, starting off with Hawkins Memorial Hospital, which was in Madison.
Yeah.
And this on the first glance just looked like an ordinary building, but when we were there, this was around the same time that all the behind the scenes footage was coming out on Twitter and stuff of them filming right there. From like a week before we were there. We saw the tyre tracks on the grass from where all the production trailers had come in, and like donuts on the grass from like where they were filming with Joyce's car, and I was just like, we are literally on there hot on the production's trail. Like, this was cool. But other than that, like the actual location itself was
it's just a building.
Yeah, just a building, really. Like all the Hawkins Memorial Hospital signs weren't there. It's kind of the same thing, because obviously a lot of these, like, that stuff's not going to be there. Like once production's done, it can't be higher than cool. No. But is it cool because we saw the leftovers of the production?
Yeah,
I think.
Because if those weren't there, it literally
was just a building. And that shot of it there from the front of the building, that's not even been seen in the show, I don't think, because in when the hospital was in season 3, they used a different hospital. Remember when the hospital monster goes down the drain pipe and all the kids run out? That's in the show, it's the same place, but in real life that was filmed somewhere else. This is the place they used for seasons Madison. 4 and 5 to film, or at least 5. Okay, next up, one of the coolest ones.
I think
this is top tier.
Yeah.
Let's just put it in there.
Yeah, this was one where I literally I couldn't talk. It was literally looking at it was like, am I in the show?
Yeah. Hawkins lab was unreal. Going in there, just seeing it from the car, like I literally said, "Are we in Hawkins?" Probably. Like I was like, it was I'm doing laps of it, looking inside, seeing all the residue and leftovers from production, like the vines and like all the flaky prosthetics from like all the upside down. We literally were by the door where like Bob ran out and died.
Yeah.
Like, that under passage where Hopper gets picked up.
We were all down there, didn't we?
Yeah. Okay. Next up, we've got the quarry. We didn't really get to see the exact place where like this shot is, but we knew we could kind of see where it would be.
Yeah.
It was pretty. Like it was nice. There was a nice park around, so that was cool.
We weren't there. We walked to the quarry bit from 2 different points of view so we could see more of it, because it's obviously all fenced off. You can't actually go and stand where they were standing.
Yeah.
It's a quarry. You're not going to be able to do that.
Meh. Like,
yeah. I have a feeling
pretty,
not much is going to go in. Is that it? Because it's still a pretty cool thing that we've done. We're literally...
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've got a couple that are going
yeah,
down
me
there.
too. But what I'm saying is look at the amount we've got in there, because...
Well, we'll have a reshuffle at the end.
Yeah.
Obviously, this video is supposed to be... Obviously, it's our experience of going there, but it's also supposed to be kind of helpful for other fans who wanna go and visit these places, giving our experience of what they were like. Because there's probably people watching this video that wanna go to see these places. Next up, well, I mean, can I just do it now? Hopper's cabin was unreal. Literally, well, this is what we're talking about when the top tier is borderline like, am I in the show right now? And that at the end we'll move them within the tiers. This has got to be. I think this for now though. I'm just going to do that because that was my favourite one so far at that point, because we were in there. It was decorated like it was in the show. It looked. We went in Eleven's room. There was a picture of Mike with love hearts on it. There was
her not even DVDs,
VHS tapes. Like, yeah, authentic props. Whether they were legit props or replicas, it doesn't matter. Like, it looked like the show.
Like you were living.
The chairs. You got pictures in the chair, door open 3 inches, and this one was a bit different because a lot of these places you just rocked up. We found the address online. A lot of them you could like get in trouble for like lurking or trespassing. But Hopper's cabin was different. It's commercialised. You pay a tour. You pay the owners of the land to have a tour guide show you around.
I think I paid $20 each for it, and it was a good tour.
Yeah, it was nice amount of time there. We were in a little group, not too big, so we could still do what we wanted, take our own photos without like interfering with people's experience. It was cool, and even the shed was outside. You remember in season 3 where Jonathan runs in there to get the axe when they're waiting for the mine flag to show up, like stuff like that. Just made it literally looked one of one how it did in the show. So it has to be up there. Next up is Meryl's farm, the pumpkin patch as seen in season 2. This was really nice because the weather was hot, so it was just like middle of October, but it felt like July. Yeah, like we were just out there on this farm with the pumpkins out because it was obviously October, but it felt like summer. I was in a t-shirt, hot. It was nice, and this was on the same plot of land that the cabin was. And I mean, did it look like it did in the show? Not really. The only thing was the sign. The iconic sign. Other than that, it kind of looked like a generic cornfield, but it was still a cool experience. Yeah. I think. It can't go higher than cool, I don't think.
Yeah.
We'll put it at the end of cool for now.
Yeah.
Next up, we've got a kind of 2-in-1. This is the arcade and then family video. We'll probably just rank them together because it's literally 2 halves of the same building, and they were kind of the same experience. Like. It was kind of abandoned. You could see traces of where like the arcade sign would have been. There was the faint writing of the family video on the front door. Yeah. Little pictures, murals on the walls.
People like writing on them.
Faint remnants of like the green from the family video and like the purple and orange from the arcade. Yeah. Like on the building still, which was cool. But other than that, like they were just empty, stripped units. Like there was nothing. It looked like 5% of what it does in the show. Oh, but in the show, it's such a like the arcade in season 2 is iconic in that first episode, and family video in season 4, like Steve hanging out the front door. It was cool, but I don't think it's cool enough. Maybe. Should we just go meh for now?
Yeah.
And then we'll probably have a rejiggle, both of them in there.
Yeah.
Arcade family video. Then we've got Benny's Burgers. I think this might be the first. Is that it?
We didn't get out.
We didn't even get out the car. This was the end of a busy day on day 2, and it's a functional restaurant now. Tiffany's Kitchen, I believe it's called. But it looks very not like it did in the show. Well, it was obviously in season 1, but it was also, I forgot, in season 4. Benny's Burgers is where Lucas and Jason and the basketball team are hanging out.
Oh yeah.
In the empty kind of rundown building that was Benny's Burgers, which was also filmed there, I think. We literally were like, is that it? So it has to go there. Okay, next up, this is day 5 now, because obviously day 3 and 4 was the convention, which was awesome, by the way. We've got Penthurst Asylum. This was pretty. It was, I think in real life it's like a college, right?
It's like a university.
Yeah.
Lovely.
It was really, really pretty. There was like wild deer just running around. It was
so quiet and peaceful.
And it was clearly like that place as well.
Yeah.
But this was a stressful morning of all sorts of shenanigans. I think it was cool.
I think it was really
like
cool.
the pools where Nancy and Robin in their stupid outfits that they'd borrowed running across the grass. And that guy laughing at them. Cool, yeah?
Cool.
Then we've got the evil location that is Krill House. Now it actually hurts my heart talking about this one because going into it, Krill House was like in our top 3 most hype locations to see, and we barely saw it because if you've seen the vlogs, they were filming season 5 while we were there, and where it was in Rome in Georgia, it was so far from where we were staying and where like kind of a lot of the trip was, so we had no time left to go back another day, and they were filming for the rest of the time we were there anyway, so it was a write-off. If we'd have only done it a couple of days before and rejiggled the schedule, we could have seen it. Obviously if you go now you'll see it, so I'm jealous if anyone watching this gets to go and visit it properly. But yeah, when we were there, it was a whole ordeal. They were filming season 5. People were coming up to me telling me to shoo because I was taking pictures. I got kind of half a picture through
Half? Well, you got 1/8 of a picture.
Yeah, it's kind of a poo picture, but
it's like the corner of the house.
You can see it. But yeah, it was a bit of a bummer.
It was a big bummer.
So from our experience, where we put in it, it's got. Because bearing in mind that was a lifelong memory where we were stood there, or at least I was stood there. You did see it from the car, watching them film. See, when season 5 comes out, and we see those scenes in the Krill House, we can say we were stood there while they filmed this.
I was gutted. I was so.
I think we just go middle because it's. So cool we got to see them film, but it's such a bummer that we didn't get the photos we wanted outside the Krill House. Like that is the biggest bummer.
Imagine how hard them pictures would have been as well.
Bro, on the porch of the Krill House, like, bro, and we didn't get that. So it's kind of like a balance.
I actually think about that one.
I know, it's so annoying that we didn't get to see it, but we saw them filming. So it's gonna go in the middle of the pack. It's like, yeah.
Ways out.
And next up we have 2 locations that haven't been in the show yet, really, that were being used for season 5. And these ones, there was no filming going on while we were there, but there had been fairly recently. The first one is the church set. Now, there is a church in Jackson, which we did see as well, which was used for the like kind of exterior shots in earlier seasons. Like I think in season 4, when the California gang are coming back in the pizza truck in the epilogue through a destroyed Hawkins. They go past the church and there's people running in and it's like devil in Hawkins. That was the Presbyterian church in Jackson, but they kind of recreated it in this random place in the middle of nowhere.
Literally on the side of the road.
Because they wanted to put vines on it and film a load of stuff in and outside the church that they couldn't do in the other church because people were in there. There was still services going on and stuff. So they recreated kind of one for one the church. So we saw both, the real one and the recreated one. This is the recreated one that they were filming in season 5. We literally stopped for 2 seconds because there was like a black fence that you couldn't see through. We just kind of saw the upper half over the fence. But just being there, and again, when we see it in season 5, and we can say we've stood right there. I've just said good things about it, but like when I think about it, it literally was. Is that it? Like we just kind of saw it and we're like, oh.
But I feel like it doesn't have as much of an impact yet because we've not seen it in the show.
Yeah. True.
It's still.
Should we just go meh?
I'd say top of meh, but we'll sort that out later.
I'll just go there for now.
Yeah.
And then the radio station, this was slightly cooler because this bloody place has been all over Twitter for like what, over a year. Starcourt Mall was the place in season 3. Krill House was the place in season 4. Everyone's saying the radio station is the place of season 5, and obviously it's not been in the show yet. So we were kind of a bit like, well, we know what this is. We were looking at it like, well, we know what this is, but we also have no fucking clue. So it was kind of weird. But we saw it, we drove past, saw it on the hill.
Oh, do you not remember? We literally were like, where is it? Because we didn't have an exact... And then we just drove past this like little field like that, and it was just smack in the middle. We both just went, like that.
We saw it from a distance, but it still had the signage out the front, WSQK, and there was some cars there.
Insert picture.
It was a very quick drive-by thing, and we didn't really know what we were looking at because season 5 isn't out yet. So where do you want to go? Like next to each other, but just one slightly above?
Yeah.
And then we've got Bradley's Big Buy. Yeah, is that it? I feel like it has to go down, but slightly better than Benny's Burgers because like it looked more like it did in the show, I feel.
Yeah.
And I could just picture like Eleven walking out. We didn't go in. Apparently they've got stuff in there that's like dedicated to the show.
Yeah, they have little I
like
saw it recently, like in little boxes from the show. It's quite cute.
Okay, then I've kind of thrown this one in. It's kind of cheeky because we didn't really see it, but it was the end of day 5, and we were near Bradley's Big Buy, and we were like, we knew that the buyer's house was kind of around the corner, so we went, but there was the road towards the buyer's house was closed, but there are a few pictures I'll show. We were on the end of the dirt track where the buyer's house is. It was further down.
You literally
probably
just
way
down to the right, and it was there.
So we didn't look at this with our own eyes, and this was the end of a busy, hectic day where a lot had gone wrong.
A lot of driving.
And we didn't want to push our luck driving down a road that was closed. And I got thinking maybe they were or would be filming some flashback scenes there, because I know they cast like a young Michael and Jonathan for season 5, and where did they live at that time? Well, there. So I thought maybe we got a scoop that they were filming there. But anyway, I mean, we have to, from our personal experience, we just have to put it here because we didn't even really see it. So take this one with a pinch of salt, but it is an Airbnb, right? That you can rent it. You can stay for some price. You can stay in the buyer's house for a night.
Yeah, they've got it all decorated.
Yeah, I know. Chris Filmstocked has been in there with Cam, and they didn't stay over, but there was like VHS tapes. There was like multiple rooms, like extended rooms with bunk beds and places you could stay. Really cool stuff inside. And they've still got the stuff on the wall, like the run, really looks really cool there, but we just didn't get to see it really, which was a shame. Okay, now we're on to the final batch of filming locations from the last day of the trip. Firstly, we've got the Hawkins Community Pool, which I want to put in WoW.
Yeah, me too.
Which I didn't think. Going into this one, I was not hyped for this, really.
It's literally the exact same as it is in the show, except the fact obviously no people.
It was so recognisable.
And it's covered. The pool's covered. That's about it. It's literally.
I think even like Billy's or a lifeguard chair.
There's
was
a
out,
lifeguard chair, yeah.
And directly opposite was this beautiful like valley with and the sun was belting through. It was just so nice and quiet.
A good morning.
And just seeing the pool, and I don't know, it wasn't a location that I was really excited for going in.
No, but having it as a shocker was like, oh.
Yeah, I was like, I really liked that one.
Yeah, me too. I really liked it.
Next is the Brimborn Steelworks, which is obviously where Billy gets it's kind of the Mind Flayer's lair in season 3 in a way, where Billy gets possessed dragged down those stairs. This one, again, I wasn't expecting much from it, but it was actually, there was a vibe there, and there was like a replica of Billy's Mustang or whatever out the front, exactly the same car, in the place where it would have spun in. So that was an added bonus. Again, we didn't go in. I think it's like a drinks venue now. It's like a bar or like a social.
Like a little cafe bar thing, and
in this dusty warehouse.
And there were goats.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Do you remember?
Yeah. I don't know. This one, I think cool. At least cool.
I think cool.
We might move it around, but at least cool. Like it was cool to see Billy's car out the front, and it looked very similar to how it did in the show, just without obviously like all the moss and the sign.
Yeah.
Okay, what we got next? Skull Rock. I feel like this is up there for me.
Really?
Yeah, because it was nice. It was a nice woodland area. You go in this gate, which was just open. You park up. What was it called? There was like a little sign that said something. I'll put the picture in. Boat Rock something. Boat Rock. Bouldering area.
Bouldering area.
But no, it's just a big ass boulder. But obviously in season 4, I don't know what episode it is. I want to say episode 5.
How do you remember that?
Yeah, was it episode 5 of season 4 where they find Eddie at Skull Rock, and I've got a photo in his kind of crouched position underneath Skull Rock. And I stood in the exact same spots where Lucas, Max, Steve, where exactly they were all stood.
Didn't you stand where they were all stood?
Yeah, I literally was like, this is where Max was, this is where Nancy was, this is where Robin was. But Skull Rock was cool, and we went for a nice walk around the bouldering area afterwards. There was like a lake.
I got scared there would be crocodiles.
Where do you want to go?
I feel like yours would be higher than mine.
Well, I feel like when we saw it, I did say wow.
Oh, see, I was going to put it in cool.
Well, we'll go middle then. We'll compromise. We'll put it there for now. Okay, next up, the final 3 filming locations of the trip was Maple Street. So Mike's house, followed by Lucas's house, and then Dustin's house. Mike's, I've got to put at the top tier, man. This was actually, the last places we saw, and standing outside Mike Wheeler's house.
It was such a nice ending to our...
Yeah, to the trip. I'm glad we saved it for last, because it's right in like the centre of the city. Well, like it's in the suburban area, but you're in Atlanta, right? And it was near the airport, so we just saved it for last on purpose, and it was so cool. Like Mike's house, like that's the very first shot of the show.
Seeing
it's
it
the
was
sprinkler.
so like, well, it was bittersweet almost because we were going home, but like seeing it literally was like
I was stood outside the Wheeler house, just like, what's it? You look lonely. Dun, 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 dun,
oh, that would have been such a good TikTok.
What's that? In the Lego Batman movie. I just died in your arms tonight. That's in Stranger Things as well. That's not. Lucas's house.
We drove past.
It's
like
it's
two
direct,
doors
yeah,
down.
It's 2 doors down
From Mike's.
But it's the exterior of Lucas's house is barely in the show.
Yeah.
Like I think we've seen it maybe twice in like season 2. I could be wrong, but so
yeah,
it wasn't looking
like
at that wasn't
take.
like wow.
Right.
Like it was just like meh.
Nah.
It was just like, oh, Lucas's house is here too.
Yeah.
And I think Dustin's house might be the
you
same.
couldn't really see Dustin's if you remember
Yeah,
because
up
he
high.
his driveway was like a little hill, and his
Yeah.
house was obviously on top, so it was quite difficult to see. But
That was the very last thing we saw was Dustin's house. We barely saw it. We just saw kind of what you see in this picture,
Yeah.
just like the drive and like the little front porch of the house, and
Yeah.
you were like, oh, there's Dustin's house too. We're probably going to change this all around. I think for now, so we'll go next to it. Okay, so that's all of the filming locations we went to, but there is one bonus one on here, which is Hawkins headquarters. And this, if you don't know, is in downtown Hawkins. It's in Jackson in real life, and it's a Stranger Things or 80s nostalgia merch store that is in the town, middle of the town, and it was so cool in there.
It's amazing.
It was like the hub of the trip. Like, we'd go in there in the evenings, speak to fans, speak to the owners.
Oh.
I bought, there's an artwork here, which you've seen in the vlogs, the Hellfire Eddie one. I bought that in there. We bought some Funkos in there, some clothes. It was just rammed to the brim of Stranger Things merchandise, other 80s merchandise.
They literally had half a wall covered in old TVs, like 80s box TVs and retro games. Remember I played?
You would have seen it in the vlog. It was we went there multiple days, but it was the hub of the trip. After the convention, all the fans flooded in there.
Packed in there. They
even a couple days before and after before the convention, we saw fans in and out of there, and it was such a cool place. And it was being in there, we were like, wow. Like,
they had the Surfer Boy pizza truck outside.
Oh yeah,
as well.
you can see it in this picture. They had that. That was there when we were there. We've got photos with the Surfer Boy pizza truck. And we also, on this trip, not included, but we also saw Hopper's police truck
Oh yeah.
at the convention, which was also cool.
Someone just drove it in. Everyone started taking pictures.
Yeah. Now, before we wrap this up, we're gonna double check this, that we like where everything is. So the very top tier. So right now we're saying that the top 3 places we saw personally were Hopper's cabin, Hawkins' lab, and Mike Wheeler's house, which I'd probably agree with.
I agree with.
In that order.
That order as well. I agree.
But I think what I might do is move this on the end here.
Okay.
Just move that up, because that was the first place we saw, like we said, and it was seeing that we were like, this is
We're
Hawkins.
in Hawkins,
Like,
yeah.
we literally did say that, so it kind of has to go there. For the wow tier, Starcourt Mall and the pool, I'm happy to be in there. Should we move the school up? I just feel like it looked like it did in the show in many ways. I feel like
now
the school.
It's gone.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like we've got to stick it. I feel like we've got to stick it in.
Wow
I feel like we need to move that up a bit.
And we do have a piece of it over there.
There it is, the piece of the brick from Hawkins High School, which is now no longer around. It doesn't exist anymore. So I feel like Hawkins High School deserves to be in WoW, and the Hawkins headquarters deserves to be in there as well, because that was just such a cool place.
Yeah.
But I think those ones up there were the best locations, and we don't want to make it too top heavy, so I feel like these were the standouts. Going into cool, what was the coolest of the cools? I liked Skull Rock quite a lot. And so do you want to move that up? Can we compromise and move that up?
Yeah.
Cooler than the alley?
I said to put it up.
Top of cool?
I said to put it at the top, because you wanted it in WoW, didn't you?
Yeah, alright, we'll go Skull Rock there.
Cool, so you might as well.
The hospital, Krill House will go at the back of cool, because we barely got to see it. The hospital further back in cool, maybe like here. The pumpkin patch, I think, further back in cool, because it kind of was a generic pumpkin.
I feel like maybe the Steelworks.
What do you think of this? What do you think of that? Skull Rock, top of cool.
No.
What?
Oh no, yes for that, but I don't agree.
Then the alley. The alley was
them two
sick.
there.
Not the asylum.
No. I'd put that behind.
Like that?
Steelworks.
Yeah, fair. They're kind of interchangeable.
Yeah.
Then these were kind of could have been considered like generic locations.
Yeah, that I agree with.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Happy with that. Krill House, I'm sorry, but we wanted more.
This would have been
This would have been it up here somewhere, maybe first. But from our experience and that poor, Yeah, let's just move on. Rechecking the Meh tier.
There's a lot in here.
Yeah, there's quite a lot in here, so some things might get moved down or moved up. These two,
It's hard.
I feel like they're fine there.
Yeah, but it's hard because we obviously haven't seen it yet in the show, but we know they're going to be...
Yeah, I think they're fine there.
Yeah.
I think this stuff is cooler than this stuff, slightly.
Yeah, me too.
So
Slightly.
I think the Arcade and Family Video would be higher up in the Meh. Man.
I feel like Dustin and Lucas's house do need to move down.
Yeah, well, okay, fine.
Only because obviously, obviously it's amazing to see these houses in person, but it was a drive-by and a double take.
It kind of was like that. That is it. I think that has to be there because we can't lie. We didn't really see it. These two definitely is that it. Them I feel like it's valid to move down. It's crazy how their houses are down here and Mike's stuff, but Mike's is the house.
It was
like
where they played D&D.
These are barely featured realistically, and we kind of barely saw them. I feel like we're giving the quarry too much hate.
I feel like we are. I was just thinking that. It was still nice. It was huge. It was massive, by the way.
I think we've slept on this. I think this shoots up.
Yeah, I was just going to say knock it
or
up.
bottom of cool. No, we can't.
No, it's top of Meh.
Right, are we leaving it like that?
I'm happy with that.
This is our tier list, so we'll run through it. This is the finalised version. We don't want to drag this on for too long. The top tier, Are We in Hawkins? The most surreal locations of the trip. Hopper's Cabin, Hawkins Lab, Mike Wheeler's house, and the public library in downtown Hawkins. Then we've got the Wow tier. Literally, wow. Amazing places to see, but not quite the best. Starcourt Mall, Hawkins Community Pool, Hawkins High School, and then the bonus one, the Hawkins headquarters store in Jackson. Then the cool tier, kind of middle of the pack. These were very cool to see, but
obviously not got that wow factor.
Yeah, missing something. So we've got Skull Rock, the alley from the fight scene in season 1, Brimborn Steelworks, Penhurst Asylum, the railway tracks in Stone Mountain, Merrill's Farm, Hawkins Memorial Hospital, and unfortunately the Creel House, based on our experience. Then the Meh tier, these ones are kind of just like, yeah,
cool.
So we've got the Quarry, then we've got the radio station and the church, Palace Arcade and Family Video, some places in Hawkins like Melvold Store, Radio Shack and the Hawk Theatre, and then Stone Mountain Cemetery. And then finally, what we thought, I think is that it kind of is what we would deem as maybe skippable locations.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, Dustin and Lucas's house. If you're seeing Mike's house, you're gonna see them anyway. So I wouldn't say you can't skip them if you're seeing Mike's house, but they kind of were like that. Bradley's Big Buy and Benny's Burgers, you could easily skip, guys. I'll be honest.
Yeah, it's not that.
If you're really picking ones out, they would be right at the bottom on the hierarchy there. And then because we didn't really see it, the buyer's house. And again, the two anomalies here that I will point out are the Creel House and the buyer's house. If we got to see these in their full glory, both of them would be up here. But just based on what we saw, the buyer's house, because it hardly counted, shouldn't even be in here. While we did get to see a lot of awesome locations from the show, there are some that we did miss. A lot of the California storyline in season 4 is filmed in Albuquerque, and the Russian storyline was filmed in Lithuania, I believe. So obviously we couldn't see them. And there were even some others in and around the Atlanta, Georgia area that we didn't see, like Max's house from seasons 2 and 3, or the trailer park that Chrissy dies at and that Eddie and Max both lived on. So there are a few locations that we missed, but generally we did well on this trip. And if you are interested in going to some of these locations in the future, I will do my best to get you some of the addresses for these locations. We found them all online, so you can just find them. We did pretty well. Some of the season 5 sets we had to ask around because they were still in use at the time, but If you want a specific address, just put it in the comments and I'm sure I'll be able to help you out. So there we have it. That's our tier list of all the filming locations we went to. And remember, this was just our experience. We said some of the other ones that were lower down, like Krill House or the Buyer's House, probably would be quite high if we got to see them in better circumstances. But there we go. Let us know in the comments if you've been to any of these locations or if you're planning to go at some point in the future. Season 5 is coming up, so we'll see some of the places that we were in the upcoming season. It was a really exciting trip, I'll say it again. And again, if you've not seen the vlogs from the 6 days that we were out there in Atlanta, please do go and give them a watch. They're on the channel right now. But there we go. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.